Hello, hello, good day. It's Friday. Thank you for joining us. And guess what? We've got storms to talk about, and some of those are going to be throwing out some really big hail over the next few days, damaging winds, and we might have a few tornadoes to deal with as well. Let's talk about it in this Friday edition of the Texas Weather Roundup. Hey, good morning. It's Friday, the 16th of May, 2025. I'm Texas Storm Chaser Zapaldi and Chief David Reimer, and the threat of thunderstorms returns to Texas beginning today. Most of you are not going to be dealing with rowdy weather, but some of you most definitely absolutely will. And the risk areas generally will be across central and northern parts of the state over the next couple of days, but we're going to see some of that expand west as we get into the second half of the weekend and early next week. Let's start off with the severe weather outlooks from the Storm Prediction Center. We're going to focus on the next couple of days, so the risk will extend beyond this. Storm Prediction Center is now highlighting the potential for scattered severe thunderstorms across North Texas, eastern Texoma, northeastern Texas, and parts of East Texas, generally along and east of a line from, let's just say, Waco, Hillsboro, Alvarado, up through Cedar Hill, Dallas, Sherman, all the way east through Tyler, Texarkana, Mount Pleasant, Mount Vernon, Greenville, Marshall, Longview, all the places we typically end up talking about one way or another. Today's primary severe weather threat will be from about 3 p.m. through 11 p.m. Most intense storms, generally, going to be capable of producing tennis ball to baseball size hail. Damaging straight line winds, and we can't rule out a tornado. Storms will fire up along the stalled frontal boundary located roughly over the DFW Metroplex up towards Sherman. Into northeast Texas, those storms will move east-east-northeast and then weaken by mid to late evening and dissipate. No late night squall lines, thankfully. Going into Saturday, threat of severe storms is going to expand and start earlier. We're looking at about a noon start time on Saturday. It looks like we're going to get started around lunchtime, and the threat could persist through the late evening hours. The threat of scattered severe storms. Concho Valley, the Big Country, North Texas, Texoma, Northeast Texas. Includes places like Junction, San Angelo, Abilene, Mineral Wells, Wichita Falls, Henrietta, Gainesville, Denton McKinney, Fort Worth, Dallas, Cleburne, Alvarado, Waxahachie, and Ennis out towards Tyler, Texarkana, Greenville, Mount Pleasant, Mount Vernon, Longview, Marshall, Paris. And unlike today, the threat for maybe a few tornadoes could be higher tomorrow comparatively. Right now we've got this risk low, almost went to medium, honestly, and we'll talk about why. Damaging straight line winds could have winds of 60 to 80 miles an hour, and we could have baseball or hail larger than the size of baseballs tomorrow. And again, this is going to start earlier on Saturday around noon to 1 p.m., and we could have multiple rounds of storms. Since we're getting started earlier, we may be able to get a couple rounds squeezed out before things calm down in the late evening hours. Just like today, storms will generally move to the east-northeast. There will be a risk for some storms on Sunday and Monday as well, but we'll deal with that in a bit. Here's the high-res rapid refresher model for today, tonight, into Saturday. You can see isolated to scattered severe storms firing up after 3 p.m. along that boundary in parts of North Texas, even parts of Central Texas, Northeast Texas, Waco, DFW, up towards Texarkana. We could have a couple of severe storms this afternoon, throwing out some big-time hail, damaging winds, heavy rain, lightning. They'll generally dissipate by mid to late evening, leaving us mostly calm overnight. On Saturday, we expect thunderstorms to develop or initiate pretty early in the day, around noon, and that activity will move east-northeast with multiple rounds of storms possible. Notice how this model is pretty quick with the transition over to clusters of storms versus individual discrete supercells. That is why the overall severe weather risk wasn't increased to a level 3 out of 5 for tomorrow already, though that's probably going to happen at some point in later updates. And again, most intense storms on Saturday could produce baseball to softball size hail, damaging winds of 60 to 80 miles an hour, and maybe a few tornadoes. If we deal with a more discrete storm mode and things don't cluster or line out as quickly as this model indicates, it's possible the tornado threat may be a little bit higher. We're going to have plenty of low-level wind shear, plenty of instability, but if we're dealing with a messier storm mode, that will generally work to prevent thunderstorms from being able to organize in the low levels and prevent, tornado genesis on a longer term scale. So hopefully that's what we're going to have happen. Because I don't know about you, I don't really want to deal with spinny doom issues this weekend. Hail and wind is going to be enough, and we're going to be dealing with that, but if we could not do the spinny doom, I would be mighty appreciative. I can't hear out of my left ear, and my nose is still stuffed up, and for me talking for hours on end for live coverage probably is going to be an unpleasant experience. So if we can work to prevent that, I would be wholeheartedly appreciative. And then storms die down by Saturday evening. And then we'll have to deal with Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Before that, here's the wildfire outlook for the next several days. We're generally looking at an uptick in wildfire threat across the western third of Texas, Panhandle, West Texas, Permian Basin, Big Bend into the borderland far west Texas, Guadalupe Mounds, the Davis Mounds, and the Trans-Pecos. Fire danger going back up to extreme on Saturday and especially on Sunday. And that'll probably continue beyond that. Now, here's the Long Range American Weather Model Global Forecast System. Guess what? Scattered severe storms possible again. Sunday afternoon and evening. Texoma, North Texas, Northeast Texas. Calming down Sunday night, hopefully. But guess what? As we get into Monday afternoon and evening, we're probably going to do it again. Another round of scattered severe storms. North Texas, Texoma, Northeast Texas. And then, guess what? Those calm down Monday evening. Tuesday, we might see a line of storms move across parts of East Texas, Northeast Texas before a cool front brings northerly winds to a good chunk of the state going into Tuesday night and Wednesday. Hopefully, we'll cool down a bit with that as well and knock some of the higher humidity values out. But clearly, we're going to be dealing with the chance for thunderstorms today, tomorrow, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday with the threat of severe storms all 5 days. Here's the forecast rain totals over the next 5 days. And again, even though we are going to see pockets of heavier rain, and some folks, you are going to get hit with multiple storms, that generally looks to be in a fairly limited corridor across parts of North Texas, Texoma, Northeast Texas. Notice, we're not really talking about any appreciable rain across the western half of the state. We're not talking about any appreciable rain along the Texas Gulf Coast, Southeast Texas, Coastal Bend, South Texas, Rio Grande Valley. Rain chances are mostly going to be concentrated on North Texas, Texoma, Northeast Texas, East Texas, with maybe a few storms, not as many, extending back into the hill country and the Edwards Plateau. Now, if you end up under one of those storms, you're going to probably get a couple inches of rain pretty quickly, but most folks are not going to get stormed on down there. This is going to be one of these situations where, some days we may only have 2 or 3 storms, and most folks aren't going to see one. If you end up under one, though, it's going to be a pretty unpleasant experience. So, that being said, clearly, the best chance for storms over the next 5 days, North Texas, Northeast Texas. And some of y'all will probably be getting hit more than once, which is why some of y'all could get 3 to 5 inches of rain out of it by the time all is said and done. But that'll be on a far more localized basis.
Seriously pull an all-nighter?
Probably even more localized than this graphic is trying to depict.
Yeah, you did.
Otherwise, guess what? If it ain't raining, it's summertime.
Okay.
We're looking at 105 in Laredo, 100 San Antonio today, 96 in Houston. We're looking at 101 around San Angelo, 95 in Abilene, 93 DFW, 80s in the Panhandle, out to the borderland of far west Texas, so that's not as bad. A little warmer tomorrow. We're still looking at mid to upper 90s, southern half of the state with a few triple digits. Upper 80s to low 90s, northern half of Texas going into Sunday. Similar story, a little cooler in Texoma. Otherwise, guess what? Monday, it's 101 in San Antonio, 108 in Laredo. We're looking at about 99 in McAllen, 95 Houston, 98 in Austin, upper 80s DFW, 93 to 94. Childress down to Vernon towards Abilene, Sweetwater, Odessa, Midland, 101 in Sanderson, 85 in El Paso, and then the summertime equivalent of Crashy the cold front comes rolling on in by Tuesday into Wednesday with northerly winds. It's going to knock high temperatures back down into the 70s and 80s, northern half of the state. Hopefully we can bring some of that cooler weather down to the southern half of the state by Wednesday and Thursday, but on Tuesday, it's still in the triple digits, South Texas into the hill country. So Yeah, unfortunately, if it ain't raining, you're getting summer. And if it's raining, you're probably getting hail out of it. So, we'll have to keep a close eye on things. But it's Friday, which means it's time to give a super duper shout out to our Spinny Doomer members here on the Texas Weather Center, as my voice just almost went out. It's a miracle it hasn't already. But yes, sorry, Bob, the Spinny Doomers, guess what? It's time to give you all that shout out we try to do every Friday as a big thank you to being our highest tier members here on the Texas Weather Center. We appreciate everyone who helps support us, whether it be with super chats, merch, memberships. It just helps us pay the monthly bills that do not stop regardless of Mother Nature's temper tantrum. So let's get to it. Thank you very much. Annette Moore, Anthony R. Pelosi Jr., Candy P., Christina West, Deanna, Donald Yellett, J.A., Jennifer, Texas girl up north in Wyoming, who's also one of our moderators, Justin S., Kenneth Howell, Love, Live, Laugh, Nancy Rosenberg, Paranoid Pocho, r/Tornado Chats, Rascals ZX2, Ryan Tucker, S00 Patique, Samantha D., Tanya McGee. Thank you kindly for being Spinny Doomers here on the Texas Weather Center. Typically, I like to try to take the weekend off and not have to make videos, but, well, this is going to be one of those weekends that is not going to happen, so we will have continuing coverage and more videos coming out later today, tonight, throughout the weekend, as we keep an eye on the sky here at the Texas Storm Chasers. We're going to have chasers out and about, trying their best to break their windshields with hail, because, well, no one said we were not crazy. Triple, quadruple negatives in there, but it is what it is. So,
that is your morning update with Baldy and Chief David Reimer from Texas Storm Chasers. Have a nice rest of your morning. Stay tuned for the latest. Live stream will start at 11 a.m.